What's up guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to add some fully controllable RGB LEDs to the controller ports of your GameCube. Really cool thing about this mod is that the LEDs are fully controllable via an app on your phone, fully adjustable, full RGB spectrum, and that also includes being able to turn the LEDs off, which is also a great feature. This is done with this little controller board right here. So in one of my last videos, we peekaboo modded this Orange Spice GameCube, and this is the GameCube we're going to be using today. So the first thing, let's go ahead and prep this LED controller board so that it's ready to install once we get our GameCube open. So you can use pretty much any 5-volt RGB controller board that you find for LED strips. This is the one I'm using. This is the one I use in my controller mods that I do also. And the QR code for the app to control the LEDs is right there. So first thing we need to do is go ahead and cut this open. I usually just slice along the edge and then go ahead and pry it open. So as you can see, there is a key right here showing which direction to solder the wires in. I go ahead and mark this side black so you know, and then you can toss this away. So I'm just gonna go ahead and mark that so I don't have to keep track. Next thing we have to do is just slice this and expose these wires. And we can go ahead and cut that and dispose of this because we're not gonna need this. We just need these wires right here. Go ahead and get our soldering iron heated up. And then we're just going to need a piece of LED strip. I have 4 sections right here, 4 LEDs on this strip. It doesn't really matter which LED strip you use. This one works well because the way I set it in, it provides a good amount of light. But you can use pretty much any one that has this 5-volt, 4 pinout layout right here. So we'll set that there. Then we got this little piece of wire right here. It has 4 wires on it. We're gonna go ahead and strip that and get those tinned up. All right, now that our soldering iron is heated up, we can go ahead and remove this white part right here. We don't need that, so just lay the soldering iron on it and kind of flex it and it'll pop right off. Go ahead and set that aside and get our wire tinned. Let's go ahead and get a good amount of solder on each one of these wires without bridging them. So let's go ahead and get this attached to this before we start working on the LED strip. So we made a mark back here, so black goes there, so that means black goes right here on this side, right here. I like to separate the wires a little bit, make it a little bit easier. And I like to start with the blue side and work towards myself. And just make sure that you don't overlap any of these soldering points. And it should look something like that. All right, now let's go ahead and cut some of the rubber shielding off of this LED strip. For this, it doesn't really matter which side you choose. We can make it work either way. So I already have a little bit exposed on this end right here. All I did was just cut it back little by little and then kind of peel it off. So I like to set something on there so that doesn't move around. And then same thing with the board. Go ahead and separate these wires out a little bit. And go ahead and lay it in. Now there are marked, see the 5-volt is right here, farthest from me, so that's where we're gonna start with the black wire. And tack that in. And then it should look like that, something like that. Which looks good. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap these exposed points with some Kapton tape just to be safe. All right, now that we have our LED strip all prepared, let's go ahead and take our GameCube apart. I know you guys want one of these. Set those screws aside, pull the lid off, go ahead and set the lid aside, and then flip this around because we're just gonna be working on the front right here. So the first thing we wanna do is go ahead and pop this controller port right off and go ahead and unplug it. So this is what we're working on right here. Now I want you to note these pins on the back because this is where we're gonna get our 5 volts. So let's go ahead and take these screws out so we have a little bit more room. First thing we're gonna need to do is cut this little peg off right here. I just grab some flush cutters, kind of nip at it a little bit, and break it off. All right, so basically how this is gonna work is I'm just gonna lay this in right here, and it's gonna rest right on top of the controller ports right here. Just like that. It's that simple. No glue, no tape, no mess. You can glue them in and you could get a little bit better results. You can get better results if you make these holes a little bit bigger, but we don't want to deal with that. We want an easy install, you know, so that's basically the gist of it. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get this soldered in to here. You can use any of these ports. I like to use this port right here, which is the first port, because the first port gives you a good area to shove the board. So this board's gonna be, if we do it on this side, it's gonna be shoved in right here and it's perfect. It doesn't get in the way of anything else. So that's where I like to do it. The one to the far right is your 5 volts. And then the one to the far left, we're talking about on the top, is your ground. So that's what we're gonna be soldering into. And it should end up looking something like that. Easy. All right, so next thing we're gonna do, get this back in place. So remember the flat part goes up. You can lose track because of how funky this cable is back here, but the flat part goes up. So we wanna make sure that we go ahead and set this in somewhat like that and kind of feed this down on top of it. Kind of wiggle it in place and latch it right there. And you just want to get this around like that. See that? Just resting right in there. Like I said, you can glue it or you can tape it if you really want to, but as you can see, it's in there. It's good. So now that we have that in there, let's go ahead and put our screws back in. All right, so let's bring our GameCube back. So we're gonna wanna tuck this back in here like this. So get this in place where it's gonna set in, and you can kind of see how it's gonna set right in there perfectly. So go ahead and plug your controller port back in, and then slowly feed this behind right there, like that. As you can see, it's sitting right back there. And we are gonna go ahead and test it. Go ahead and plug it in. And boom, we're there. It's a little bit hard because my lights are so bright where I'm shooting, but you can see from above right here that it is flashing. And at this point, you can go ahead and move it around if you want to situate it a little better, but I'm seeing good amount of light coming through the ports. Sometimes people do the installs with normal LEDs and they'll actually be too bright in my opinion. I like this mod because I like it's a little bit subtle. If you're playing in your room and it's dark, it doesn't like go crazy, and then of course you can turn it down or turn them completely off. Get the best shot. That's face shot's probably the best. There you go, you can see it right there. There you go, my dogs. And that's it, you guys. Let's go ahead and get this thing back together and see how it looks in the dark. I hope you guys like this mod, and if you did, I have a tutorial doing this exact same RGB LED install into a GameCube controller. When you do both the controller and the GameCube, it's pretty cool because you can actually have both the controller and the GameCube in sync through the app. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you did enjoy this video, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on my weekly videos. I'll see you all in the next one.